customers, require us to collaborate more, require us to be a lot more preemptive in terms of their needs. And I think back to the earlier statement, they require us to solution across the entire life cycle of ownership versus just at a transactional level when they just need, to finance a vehicle.
As CEO of WesBank, Msibi sits in the driver's seat, steering the business on what can be a very bumpy road given the ever-changing vehicle market landscape and some of the broader economic headwinds it comes up against as well. But if your name is synonymous with motorman in industry circles, one would assume that it's a skill you have pretty well honed. Ghana, thanks so much for joining us on Smart Money today, and I'm going to launch straight into it, right? Was it an already innate understanding and passion for the motor industry and business that saw you progress up the ranks at WesBank, or vice versa, where once in the circle, you couldn't help but become deeply entrenched?
Interestingly, it was an accidental love affair. I kind of started off on the back of insurance products which we were selling into the automotive industry. And anyone in the industry will tell you, I mean, once you're exposed to it, you love it. And as they say, the rest is history, and I suppose from there onwards, I've then kind of gotten more into the vehicle financing side and every aspect of it.
Okay, so you've been CEO at WesBank now for what, just over a year, right? And post-COVID or not, further entrenching WesBank in the market at a time when interest rates have been on a steady climb, inflation high, unemployment numbers at record highs as well. No easy feat to grow the business, right? What have you taken from the experience so far?
Yeah, so what most people probably don't appreciate is my journey to kind of, as you've said, taking over the broader bank was the CEO of the motor business, which pretty much is the larger chunk within WesBank from an activity perspective, which was in 2019. So heading into COVID, I think I was already looking at the retail construct, which was a tough time for us, I must say. And I think, the transition into WesBank was pretty much seamless, if I can call it that, because I think I'd been in the bank now for this is my 8th year. I think the environment is one that you kind of, you grow very much accustomed to the relationships. I had the networks in the industry. And I think one of the biggest challenges that we've had over and above interest rates and I suppose COVID, as it were, was just maybe the reinvention of the bank. When you take over a bank that is mature, that has, I think, made a massive impact in people's life for about, 5 decades, it's quite difficult to reconfigure it and kind of, give it purpose and meaning again in such a manner that, you have got to disrupt yourself. That, I think, is the biggest challenge I faced. How do we disrupt ourselves? And, how do we create a bank that is relevant for a customer of the future more than what it's been for the last 5 decades?
So talk us through that, Ghana, in terms of how WesBank has been impacted and then WesBank's ability to deliver financial products and the kind of maneuverings you've had to employ to provide almost a renewed strategic alignment to current market demands.
Yeah. So, interestingly, one of the biggest challenges we face with is this navigating from offering products into solutions and dealing with customers beyond just the need of finance. Because what we've accepted is, customers' journey with their vehicles may start off with financing, but throughout their journey until they sell it is the reality of ownership. The total cost of ownership has over the last 10 years, pretty much been on the rise. And I think it's become a challenge for most customers to be able to not only maintain their installments, but, to still be able to get tires and insurance and so on and so forth. So I think for us, the quest is really to entrench ourselves as a partner for life through your ownership journey. And I think we're well known and kind of very much mature in the partnership orientation. And so I think it's just about broadening our partnerships to feature beyond manufacturers. We started to partner with tire entities now. We've done exceptionally well with engine from a fuel spend perspective. And I suppose as you start to look at, our world, we start to talk about playing across the entire ecosystem of ownership. And I think, you asked the question around what, how you transition that. It's a tough ask, but I think the time is ripe, because I think post COVID, I think we've also found that customers are a lot more receptive to kind of inclusive and holistic solutions versus just products. So I think our journey is definitely cut out for us. And yeah, the next part of our journey is to make sure then that I think we can solution for customers in a pay for usage form as well, not just installment sale financing.
Absolutely. And would you say then that that is the biggest trend when it comes to motor finance and the motor finance industry right now? The fact that we are looking at a harnessing more so of collaborative spirit as opposed to this very, competitive, cutthroat industry.
Most definitely. I mean, I think, while the South African automotive industry and financial services at large is a lot mature than kind of most developed markets, believe it or not, I think there are areas where we are still lacking. It's exactly that part around being, almost that collaborative, that fluid type relationship between service provider and consumer. I think we've been quite static in the kind of products we've offered, but customers want more. Customers, require us to collaborate more, require us to be a lot more preemptive in terms of their needs. And I think back to the earlier statement, they require us to solution across the entire life cycle of ownership versus just at a transactional level when they just need, to finance a vehicle. So I
Yeah.
think as a mature organization, you can imagine, I mean, it's not easy to repurpose ourselves.
Absolutely. So now, as we stand, given the uncertainty that plagues markets globally, Ghana, are you bold enough to make any predictions about where trends are headed down the line and into the future?
Yeah, look, most definitely. I mean, I think I've been on record many a times to say there is no way that the South African automotive industry will be insulated from having to provide a lot more pay for usage solutions. As what we've seen in other parts of our lives. So I see us having to come up with alternative forms of financing. That's definitely going to be on the cards. I think the notion of kind of playing across the ecosystem more and more, so therefore being more than just a financier, is definitely going to become crucial. And then I think there's also these aspects of making sure that I think you are omni-channel in how you engage your customers. I think for the longest time we've been very much a bricks and mortar type business, but I think now we've kind of incorporate the clicks and mortar components as well. So I think the orientation of the business is fundamentally going to be challenged in the next 10 years than what we've seen over the last 50 years before. I think it's going to be a very interesting time for us.
Absolutely. And also because you're looking at, an all encompassing business. You've got vehicle finance, of course, what WesBank is synonymous with, right? But it operates in
Yes.
several other financing industries as well. You've got personal finance, you've got business asset finance as well. What have you observed about trends within these spaces that are reflective of where things are at as far as the state of the consumer, business, and so broader economy is concerned?
Yeah, so you're 100% right. I think we privileged to be able to play across the different customer segments and across the different, I suppose, constructs. From a fleet and management solutions perspective, we are definitely seeing that customers are looking for off-balance sheet solutions, slightly different to what you may see potentially with your SMEs and your juristics. So it is a nuanced environment, but I think what's always been, I suppose, a strength of the bank is our ability to leverage partnerships. And I think, for us, that has really stood us in good stead, and it continues to, because irrespective of the solution that the customer is looking for, we still fall back onto the partnership with the dealer and the partnership we have with the manufacturer. And that, the space in between is just about how do we then package that solution, but the anchor points have not changed, right? I always say to the teams, no one wakes up on any given morning to buy money. No one wants to buy money. They're looking for a product. They're looking for a solution. And I think, the way in which we can differentiate ourselves is by making sure that I think when customers look at whatever the solution we provide them relative to what peers are able to provide them, they can comfortably say proper value for money. And I think that's what we seek to kind of improve ourselves on.
So, are there any exciting future plans in particular that are sitting in WesBank's drawers at the moment that you're able to let us in on?
Yeah, so I mean, last week I was privileged enough to do the opening of the Festival of Motoring, and where we launched a few of some of these value props in our ecosystem spaces. And yeah, I mean, I think if you kind of get a chance to download the WesBank app or go to WesBank online, and I think you'll start to see how we've now started to incorporate pieces or nuggets which historically would never be associated with finance. And it's really, I must say, it's actually quite cool stuff, because we're starting to gamify the whole notion of financing, as it were. And I think the ability to use the data points, and we sit on a lot of data points, but I think to start to use that for contextualizing solutions is powerful stuff.
Yeah.
So yeah, if you get a chance, download the WesBank app, go to WesBank online, and you'll start to see a lot of the stuff that we're kind of bringing into market.
Ghana, thanks so much for your time. A pleasure catching up with you today.
Thank you very much, Alishia, and have a great afternoon further.